Hello, welcome all of you. In this video, I would like to talk about the common myth that exists in Vedic astrology regarding the enmity of Saturn and Mars. So, earlier I have made one video with regard to energies of Sun and Saturn. Hope you have watched that video. So, if you have not watched it, please check the description section below and try to watch that video also. So this video is made to focus on the common myth with regard to Saturn and Mars energies. So often we say there is a planetary war between Saturn and Mars, and wherever they sit in birth chart, whatever house they sit, they create a lot of planetary war between them. There is a lot of energy dispersion of that house. So one must understand Saturn is a planet of discipline, practicality, structure, order. So what happens is when we lack these qualities in our life, then we tend to get into serious problems. So basically, when you want to perfect your Mars, we have to harness energies of Saturn as well as Jupiter. Let me tell you why it is so. Because we know we have three domains in learning process: cognitive domain, psychomotor domain, and affective domain. The first two domains they address knowledge component and skills component, whereas the third addresses the attitude component. So actions planetary in case of Vedic astrology, Mars is a planet of dynamism, planet of action. So what we act comes under domain of Mars. The way we act, what motivates us to act in that way, it's all guided by your Mars. So basically, how we can make our actions, how we can perfect our actions, that is the question here. Like the way we speak, the way we conduct ourselves, all these come under the perfection of Mars. So as long as we handle the domain of cognition properly, like when we gather knowledge through when we gather purified knowledge, when we try to become more and more practical in our approach, then we can say we are able to perfect our actions. So basically here, the common myth that says is there is a planetary war and there is a war between Saturn and Mars. So one can perceive as Saturn as a matured energies and Mars as a young energies full of vigor and vitality. So unless we guide energies of Mars in a proper direction, we end up in wrong actions. And we all know the way we speak, once we utter a word, we can't take it back, and once we perform an action, the results are bound to be faced by us, so in form of some kind of a karma. So it's very important how we refine our speech, how we speak, with what modulation we speak, with what words we choose while speaking, and then how we act. So all these things, they are come under domain of Mars. So especially, it's a long, strenuous sadhana, I can say, to perfect our speech and to perfect our actions. It doesn't come in one day. So we need to perform long, strenuous sadhana to perfect our these two domains, speech and act. So the tips are harness energies of Jupiter, or Jupiter energies. They are more towards knowledge acquisition, more optimistic in nature. When you have Jupiterian energies, you become more and more optimistic in nature, and when we are in line with energies of Saturn, we are more disciplined in nature. we are more structured in nature, we are more organized in nature. So especially in Vedic astrology, Jupiter and Mars energies, they are we all it's a wonderful combination of energies, Jupiter and Mars, because one is Jnana Shakti and the other one is Kriya Shakti. So there are three different powers, we say: Icha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, and Jnana Shakti. So the power of intention, the power of knowledge, and the power of action. So as long as we purify our intentions, as long as we purify our knowledge, our actions becomes more and more integral. So in a sense, it is very important to harness the energies of Saturn and Jupiter. They are very vital to perfect your Mars. So there is no point in saying there is a war between planet Saturn and Mars, especially even though we say war between them. Ultimately, your Mars gets exalted in Capricorn. We all know that from fundamentals of Vedic astrology. So Mars gets debilitated in Cancer, which is a sign of Moon, Karka, and gets exalted in Capricorn, which is the sign of Saturn. So when your actions are puzzled by emotions, possessed by emotions, then we get into wrongdoings. And observe, whenever we are in anger, we tend to perform undesirable actions. And whenever we are in anger, we tend to speak unpleasant words. So Mars gets debilitated in Capricorn because Mars gets debilitated in Cancer. It is because of emotional. Cancer is basically an emotional sign, watery sign, whereas Capricorn is an earth sign, sign which is more practical in nature. So essentially, that myth is not correct actually, because eventually the energies of Mars gets perfected only under the guidance of Saturn eventually. So that thing we have to understand. Hope this video helps all of you. Thank you so much.